Okay, we are live. So thank you very much for joining me. Goraphobe, good to have you aboard. For once, it's on my been a while, but figured I'd jump on. It's actually my 2-year anniversary. So 2 years ago today, I uploaded my very first collection video.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. And probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for yourself and people like you in this community. So I do want to say a massive thank you to everyone. The support there has just been amazing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm really, really keen to that. And obviously, from yourself, I was, nominated as YouTube. Well, I was nominated by you and voted as, YouTube Entertainer of the Month, which was, yay, big thing. So yeah, I'm just going to say a blank hello. We've got a Blucker in the chat, Gretchen, Echo, Neon, Black Reviews. We've got Sean and we've got Katie from Poppin' the Popcorn, all in the chat. So hello and thank you very much for all your well wishes and whatnot. And Juno just jumped in as well. So,
awesome.
And wow, Cheetah's here as well. I did not expect that. I did not. It's all of a sudden there's like people there. It's like very odd. Because as you know, I don't live stream too often. So, but yeah,
that's the message I left. Man, is hey, Ninja doesn't live stream very often, so come on, everybody.
Yeah, and I didn't want to interrupt like anyone else's live stream. So very similar to yourself. You don't want to cut people off. You want to let them do their thing, and you do your thing, which is very similar to you, I believe, like with your live streams.
Yeah, I'm weird like that. Most people don't feel that way, but I just kind of feel that way. It's just being considerate. It's just the way I feel.
Yeah, and you know what? 100% agrees with you. 100%. And I mean, usually there's not a lot of people doing anything on around this time on our. Well, for me, Monday morning. For you guys, it's Sunday evening or Sunday night. So yeah, I figured I'll try and sneak one in. I've got the place, got some quiet time, some downtime. I figured why not? Everything was just aligning perfectly for once.
Yeah.
But yeah, so YouTube Entertainer of the Month. So that was a big month. Like I was saying, it was interesting for me because I found that, like I was saying, my views did definitely go up. It was definitely something that did help my channel a lot. So I think it's really good. And I think what Nanette's done is really good because it is a very small, tight-knit community. And I think this is a really good way to get other channels out there as well. So the people that I put in to nominate for was, some really different channels. And I do like all these channels. I think, the channels that I put forward were, JT's Horror Discussions. He's got a fantastic channel, like very personal. He's, knows a lot and he does a lot as well, And he's not just horror related. He does, like, he gets up and very, like Ben does, plays some music, Who else I put? I put Savage Zombie Reviews. Again, fantastic channel.
Nice guy.
Just great stuff. And his reactions, if you haven't seen his reaction videos, are great. Like one of his more recent ones was he did one to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which I love the Indiana Jones films, but man, sometimes you just got to let those things go. Who else? I put through a few others like American Werewolf in New Jersey, who you just got off a stream with as well. Doing the Penny Dreadful series over there.
Good guy too, yeah.
Yeah, Mike's good. I like Mike. I like his views on movies and what he's putting out there because I mean, not a lot of people. Penny Dreadful doesn't get spoken about a lot. Not anymore.
Right. It's a good show.
Oh man, it's so good, and it's just the way they tie everything from those historical characters, they bring them to life. Really, they do.
Right.
Also, an Australian couple, Better Watch Horror Podcast. They do YouTube as well, obviously. Fantastic quality content. They do deep dives into movies. They do, they do one called Boo Boo Redo, which is just hilarious. If you get a chance, go check them out. I feel bad because I asked them to do Cabin Fever, and I love the original Cabin Fever.
Yeah.
But have you checked out that remake?
No.
Oh, dude, don't. It's basically shot for shot, man, shot for shot, and the characters just don't have the same feeling as the original. Like the characters are just shit.
Yeah.
And then Alexi, I put him forward, but we haven't really heard much from him, unfortunately. Like he's kind of disappeared off the radar, which I guess does happen, social media and everything. So, it is what it is. But let's look at who won next month's or this month's YouTube Entertainer Month. So I looked through, counted out all of the votes, and the winner, the next month's YouTube Entertainer of the Month, brought to you by Nanette's Necessities Entertaining Witching. Is it this month or next month? Hold on. They're doing it next month, yeah. So the winner is Savage Zombie Reviews.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So congratulations, Dave. You've got a fantastic channel, and I'm really happy that you were chosen as the winner. So here's to Dave and Savage Zombie Reviews. I'll pop his link down in the comments below later on. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to him. Fantastic content, as I mentioned. So
I had checked him out a little bit, and he'd been on a couple of my streams, joined the chat, but I had never met him until today over on JT's 500 sub party thing that he had. This is the first time I actually talked to him, and he's very nice.
I was so annoyed that I missed that. But it was 1 o'clock in the morning over here. So, but congrats to JT. Geez, 500. That's terrific. Keep going onwards and upwards. But yeah, so got a few people talking in the chat, saying congratulations to Dave. So that's great to see. But yeah, look, I'll flick Dave a message, let him know he's the winner. Is there anything else I need to let him know? What do you think? You were the inaugural YouTube Entertainer of the Month.
I don't know. Just let him know that it's criteria. You know what I mean? The criteria that it's based on. If you want to send him a message or whatever, and then just it has to be under. I do believe, pretty sure it has to be under 1,000 subs.
Yeah.
And just trying to base it on all around content. And he'll know where to go from there.
Yeah, he'll smash it out. His channel's just going leaps and bounds ahead. It's fantastic. So
now I don't know what the rule is on revoting people. I say if you've been YouTuber, the YouTube Entertainer of the Month, that you shouldn't be able to be revoted for a while at least anyway. But I don't know what criteria she goes on that, so you'd have to ask her on that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I think it's probably better to get other people out there and get their channels out there and give them a fair turn. Maybe 12 months later. 12 months later, you can go through it. But yeah, other than that, that's 2-year anniversary, YouTube Entertainer of the Month. I did want to show a few things that I've picked up recently, a couple of which I reckon you'll be interested in. But this first one was a freebie that I got, the Complete Black Books. Don't know if you've ever heard of this show. It's a British TV show. It's so funny. Dylan Moran, Bill Bailey.
Cool.
It's a interesting show to say the least. Dylan Moran, you might know from Shaun of the Dead.
Mhm.
He was that annoying friend, like who got ripped in half
Right.
at the end. Best death scene out of the whole movie. Also picked up this one from Arrow, Children of Men.
Okay, cool.
Really, like this one, like this is powerful. This movie, like really good. Basically, it's a world where no one can reproduce, and there's no children. There's it's all stopped. And Clive Owen is just fantastic. Like Clive Owen, Michael Caine, Julianne Moore, the whole cast, amazing.
Wow.
Not going to get too much. I'm not doing a freaking review here.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie, believe it or not. Tenebrae.
Oh yeah. I was wondering if I knew I'd picked up a few Argento films recently on Blu-ray, and I couldn't remember what one I picked up, but it was Tenebrae. It was Tenebrae and Deep Red. Deep Red I got. I actually picked that up off eBay late last year, but this one I'm like, they dropped it down to like £10 for Easter, so I'm like, I can't say no to it. I can't say no. So I'm looking forward to
Great film.
eventually finding time to rewatch that. Because I haven't seen that in years. Like a long time.
I had a great time doing the watch on it a couple weeks ago, man. It was last week.
Such a good movie. Like, it's so good. But then again, I mean, yeah, there's, for me, Dario Argento, very rarely does he do a bad film. Very rarely. That being said, I have not seen Dark Glasses yet, so.
And from a string from about 1970 to what, about 87 or so, he had all those. That was like 9 or 10 straight films, man, but they were all kick-ass.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anyone's ever had a streak like that.
I mean, even like, because I grew up around those kind of films, especially the Italian horror films, which you've been focusing quite a bit on for your month or last, what is it? You've done about how many episodes have you done of Italian horror now?
Oh my goodness. I'm on like my Tomorrow Will Be Opera. I think it's my 11th or 12th one in a row now.
Yeah. Yeah, so quite a few. I mean, all those ones, like you look at the Italian horror of the 70s and 80s, like, zombie flesh eaters, or zombie creeping flesh, City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, all those that aren't Argento. But then you look at Argento and then you look at the Bava and you look at them all and it's like, how are these not more well known? Like why these aren't considered mainstream horror?
I don't know, man. That was kind of the idea I had when I decided to do the 3 months of 3 months of Italian horror / Giallo marathon, man. We should try to get out there a little bit more. You know what I mean? Because we got too much. It just kicks the shit out of what we do have as far as mainstream goes, in my opinion. So
yeah, and look, I don't mind a bit of mainstream horror. It's got its place. But I think, like you said on my recent, I did the review of Sputnik, the Russian sci-fi horror. If you just take away all the foreign cinema, you're missing out on so much.
Yeah,
like, so much. Like I grew up on Demons. Demons 1 and 2 were my go-to horror films, and we did those watch-alongs, and man, just watching them, like the amount of talent that's involved. And I mean, you can give shit to the acting if you want, because it's obviously dubbed and things like that, and that can take away from some of the emotion behind the acting. But man, you look at the special effects, you look at the intensity, you look at the colors that they use, the cinematography, totally underrated.
and that's
totally underrated.
and that's just the Italian. You know, we haven't even got into the Japanese and the German and the Spanish. You know what I mean? They're all good, man. There's a lot of the really explicit films, the ones that kind of, you know, they kind of go the extra mile, are the ones that you're going to find that you're probably going to have to read. So if you want that extra, chances are you're going to have to read it or get one that's dubbed, and it's usually not as good of an experience a lot of times. The Italian is, but as far as the others, they're not so much.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at Spanish horror. Like we both love the film Wreck. Like fantastic film, and they've also got some really good suspenseful supernatural horror films. Geez, there was one that came out a few years back, which was apparently the scariest film ever made. It wasn't that, but it was really well done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even you look at trying to think like the Korean films of recent. Like there's one which was actually, I think it was Dave that recommended this one called Project Wolf Hunting.
Right.
Apparently, it's completely balls to the wall crazy. Really looking forward to watching that. I'm hopefully going to get to watch that tonight. But if you haven't heard of it, check it out. It sounds insane. The sadness.
So yeah, we didn't see anything online.
Yeah, I mean that one that blew me away. That movie, like when I first watched it.
Yeah, they're not playing.
They don't, and I mean, no. The sadness. It actually reminded me of this comic book called Crossed, which I think that was Garth Ennis, maybe someone. I can't remember who wrote it, but man, it was absolutely crazy, and the sadness is pretty much that.
Yeah.
In a movie form.
I loved it, man. It's granted, it's not something I'd want to watch every day necessarily, but it is fantastic to the point where I had to put out the extra money and get that media book. Yeah.
I was talking to Cadaver Club Ben. I'm like, I still need to get that media book. I still need to. Like, it's on my list, and I will get it by the end of the year. I'm just looking at a few things, and then things come up, and you want to get something else. So it's like, I will get it though. But yeah, they in the chat, Juno mentioned 70s horror. It is a really underrated decade for film in general.
I think it's just
not just horror. Like I feel like, because I love my 70s sci-fi, like the Omega Man, Soylent Green, Logan's Run, those kind of films. I think the film industry just did a complete turnaround in the 70s, then leading into the 80s with the horror. Sci-fi went completely spacey in the 80s, but horror went back down to earth.
Right. Yeah, they and in the 70s they didn't have a lot of the restraints that they ended up getting in the 80s and wanting into now. Back in the 70s, they pretty much were wide open to do almost anything they wanted, and they definitely did.
Yeah, it's great. Like it was just amazing. Like I remember watching like horror films in the 80s. Probably why I'm messed up now, but whatever. And just going back and watching them, like looking at the difference between the 70s and the 80s, it is quite a big difference between what they were doing there in the 70s and the 80s. Just the feel of it, the style of it changed so much.
Yeah, there was so much serious going on in the 70s. I think by the time it got to the 80s, they felt like they needed to get a little sillier, just a little more fun, just to lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they just kind of harsh.
Yeah, and probably a perfect example for me anyway is Return of the Living Dead.
Oh yeah.
Like that has the perfect blend of horror and comedy in it. Like it knows it's not. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Oh yeah. It's very self-aware. Yeah, it's fun, but it's not fun to the point of complete silliness. You know what I mean? They timed the laughs and everything so well in that. It is so well done.
Yeah. To be honest, the only thing that I'm disappointed with that one was the ending.
But
Yeah. I would have liked to. I guess that's the difference. Like you look at them now, and there's always like these expanded universes, and they do crossovers and whatnot. I'm dreading the day they remake that. I am dreading the day.
yeah, it's getting scary with the remakes, man. But I won't get on a thing like I usually do. But yeah, everybody knows where I'm coming from. We need more original ideas. Like I said a million times, if the people in the 70s and the 80s and even all the way back to the 60s thought like they do now, all we would have in the 70s and 80s was remakes of Psycho and The Birds and everything. We would have had none of that original shit.
Yeah. Phil's creepy videos has dropped in the chat. Hey Phil. Back to the pickups that I've recently got. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Cool.
Now, I've already got this one on DVD, which is signed by Bill Moseley. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the quality of this one, how it compares to the DVD. Because Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 over here was banned for years. Like, years. The first time I saw it was actually, they had this TV show called Graveyard Shift in Australia on Fridays on pay TV. And they aired it there first before it got a video release. And this is probably 99, back in 99. So yeah, first time I saw it on TV, and it's like, ever since then I hunted down, got it on DVD, and I'm like, this shit's great. Greatest film. Well, I wouldn't say greatest film ever, but it's to me, it's, and I know you're a huge fan of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. They're two different animals, you know what I mean? And
they are two very different movies, but I think this one's just as good. Not better, but different.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he knew that he couldn't go. Toby Hooper knew he couldn't go there again. You know, he didn't want the continuation necessarily of the original. He wanted it to have its own identity. So that's the only way he could really do that and still make it a horror film.
Yeah. I mean, the whole franchise, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, has had some dark moments. But the first three, I think, are probably three of my favorites in a row. I think if you look at Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first three in all those series, like Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, and 3, the first one was a classic. The second one, hit and miss. The third one takes it on a completely different turn.
Right.
Friday the 13th, you've got the classic original, then the sequel, which introduces Jason, the third one. They are good.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know, because Friday the 13th Part 1, Jason isn't the killer. Obviously, we all know that. But do you count that, or do you go Jason, Friday the 13th, 2, 3, and 4 as a trilogy?
Yeah.
Because if you go by... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say that the original Friday the 13th and then 2, 3, and 4 are really a lot different too, because the original is basically, it's got a creep factor that where 2, 3, and 4, they're the slashers. I don't consider the first one as much of a slasher. It's got a creepy feel to a lot of the scenes, and it's more of a mystery.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I look at it very much the same way. Like if you look at 2, 3, and 4, that's a trilogy in itself, because they do pretty much take off one after the other. But then I look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well, and look at that. those three films are all very different. You know, they kind of went the original was a classic, and it was a low budget sort of, I guess, guerrilla style filmmaking.
Right.
Yeah, what he wanted out of that, like he didn't create he didn't want it as a gory film. Like he was aiming for a PG film, if I've read correctly.
For
Something
part
like
two?
it wasn't with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Wasn't Toby Hooper aiming for something not horror, like not to get that X rating? Wasn't.
Well, I think he was kind of shooting for something more along the documentary type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. To where they would
Yeah.
use, he was actually shooting for that. Just to bring it down from an X, he had to make a lot of adjustments. He thought just because there wasn't nudity and there wasn't a lot of blood, but he didn't take into consideration how disturbed people would be just living through, the Maryland, just living through Sally's eyes and all that kind of shit. He didn't realize how disturbed people would be just by watching it. That's why they want to give it an X. And like I said, there's no nudity, there's no sex, there's no blood hardly.
Yeah. And when I looked at it for my review last year, you look at it and it's the setting, like the creepiness in the setting is what gives it its feel.
Right.
And of course, the acting, like that, the actual terror in Marilyn Burns, like, was Marilyn Burns? Yeah.
Yes.
Like, undeniable, like.
Best performance in Survivor Girl history, man. Best
The fear is palpable in her performance. Like, it's a shame she didn't go on to do more. Well, she did more, just in a different genre of film.
Yeah, she made one more with Toby Hooper. She made Eden
was that Eden Alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. I still need to add that to the collection. I'll get that eventually.
That's a good film too.
Yeah, I think it's on Tubi at the moment. I think I saw it on there. I'm not 100% sure. But and then obviously you've got the second Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then the third one. Now, the third one for me was one of my go-tos because Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, like I mentioned, was banned in Australia, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 wasn't. And for me, that seemed like an absolute gore fest. Like, I remember reading about that in Fangoria. You've got the opening scene where they're driving past all these bodies and stuff like that. It was pretty gruesome. Plus, you've got Kate Hodge, Ken Foree,
Love Ken Foree.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen's in it too, isn't
he? Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, he's in it.
Yeah, no, Viggo Mortensen. It was the fourth one which had Matthew McConaughey in it. I get those two confused. I don't know why.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey in a completely over the top role, and then you got a very young Renee Zellweger. Yeah. I don't hate that one as much as a lot of people do. I can see why they do, because it is just a bunch of Leatherface does kind of bitch out in it. You know what I mean? And he does do a lot of hollering and screeching and stuff like that. But it's still fun every once in a blue moon. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's it did get a lot of hate, and I think some of it is justified. But again, it's a different style of movie. Like, each one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres goes a different route, really.
Oh yeah.
And then, of course, like Gino was saying, you've got the remake prequel, and then the Netflix one, which I didn't mind it.
I like the.
I mean, it was probably better than I expected.
Yeah, true.
But I mean, I just personally didn't like some of those characters. I thought they needed a saw in them. But yeah, and
I kind of like how he got the last word and didn't he cut her head off and some shit as they were driving away? That was fantastic.
Yeah. In a driverless car, which, like, you know, I'm not too sure that would be happening in the middle of Texas. You know, I don't know. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. Another couple that I picked up was Wolf of Wall Street. I'm a huge fan of this film. Like, and when they dropped the price of this on Arrow, I'm like, yeah, I've got to get it. It's just a completely crazy performance from Leonardo DiCaprio. Like,
Scorsese, man.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, and this one, Hobo with a Shotgun.
I've never seen that.
Rutger Hauer. It's very grindhouse film. It's extremely violent. Actually, Ricky over at the Old AF Gang, another great channel. He did quite recently. He did a top 5 violent films, most violent films. This is one that got a mention. So Hobo with a Shotgun. The other was another couple were Avengement with Scott Adkins, which he was not wrong. That is a brutal and violent film. And of course, Rambo. The one, the more, not Last Blood, but the one before that.
Like 10, 12 years ago or something, maybe?
Yeah, where it's, I think it's in, I don't know where it is, Cambodia, maybe.
I don't remember. I seen that once, but I do remember that was a pretty brutal movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to giving this one a watch. This is going to be
good.
It's going to be sitting down with a bucket of popcorn and just like drooling over the amount of gory action in it. And finally, this one, which I don't know why I had not bought this in a while, and I've always been able to find them online, but oh yeah, the Phantasm box set. It's not the Phantasm, because you've got the ball, the sphere, right?
Right.
Yeah. But you know what? This will do me. I love that.
I mean, I know a lot of people like the second one, and I know they're a fan of the whole franchise. But to me, Phantasm is not one of those one and done ones for me. I mean, I appreciate the others, but that first one is so good that you know what I mean. It is just not necessarily one and done, but it could have been, and I would have been okay.
Yeah. For me, it was. I first saw Phantasm 2 because, again, Australian cinema and Australian releases, I don't know what they think half the time, but the original Phantasm film was actually called The Never Dead in Australia.
Right.
And I never put 2 and 2 together. And of course, with the change in actor or lead actor in Phantasm 2, I didn't tie it back to The Never Dead. So it wasn't until, probably the mid to late 90s that I put 2 and 2 together and sort of went back and rewatched that one. And then it led into Phantasm. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But the original does have a very creepy vibe to it, like all throughout. I think Phantasm 2's it follows the classic sequel route. Let's amp up the gore, let's amp up the action. But it is they probably had a bigger budget as well, so they could do a lot more with it.
Yeah, so the studio told Don Coscarelli that they wanted somebody. They didn't want Michael Baldwin to play Michael again. I don't remember exactly why. I checked it out. I talked about it before, like when I did a few weeks back on the watch. I don't remember exactly why, but he was kind of forced in a situation where he had to get somebody else. It was between the guy that played, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's between him and Brad Pitt, I guess. And this guy went out over Brad. Or no, Brad Pitt was going to do something else, and so this guy got the role.
Yeah, look, the original guy that played me in Phantasms. I'm blanking on his name.
Who is it?
I'm trying to think. because they got James LeGros. Was he? I've got the box set right here. I'll just look at it.
Yeah. James LeGros is the one that played Michael in the second one. It was Michael Baldwin in the first one.
That's right. Yeah. Didn't he drop out of acting for a bit?
Yeah.
Michael
Yeah.
Baldwin?
I think he was kind of traumatized, even because he did a couple things with Coscarelli before they did Phantasm, and they kind of knew each other. And I think he was just really disappointed and really let down to the point where he just kind of got away from it for a while when he did get one in part two.
That makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, like I said, I didn't hate James LeGros's performance, and that's what I was introduced to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that makes a difference.
So, Phantasm 4. Yeah, look, it wasn't terrible.
No, none of them are really. I mean, Ravager, the last one that they made was probably the worst one.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all fun. I mean, if you ask Eric thinks that the original one is the worst.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to go back and have a look at his. Yeah, because he did the whole franchise. He did the Phantasm franchise quite recently. But to me, like, I do think Ravager was probably the low point in the film, closely followed by Oblivion.
Right.
The original, like the first three, I would actually find it really hard to decide which one I like the most out of those. Well, no, it'd be Phantasm 2 I do enjoy the most. But 1 and 3, I think are probably even for me. I really enjoyed Lord of the Dead. I think the way they expanded that universe just in that one film, I think they did a great job. Don Coscarelli did a really good job of that.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my recent pickups. I haven't shown anything like that in a while. But yeah, how about yourself? Have you picked up anything recently?
Not so much. Like I said, I got Bad Boys in here. I received Bad Boys finally from Turbine.
Nice.
I haven't received your package yet. You haven't received mine yet?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Well, we got a little bit of land in between us here, so.
There's definitely a little bit, but I didn't put that in my collection, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to wait until you've got yours.
Okay. Cool.
I figure don't want to spoil it for you. I don't want to put it out there and then So I'm holding off on it. It's there unopened. And I'm just like waiting for it. But I was actually it was actually weird because I was actually gonna buy that on Blu-ray. Just a standard Blu-ray copy a few weeks before that came out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I held off. And saw that. So, but I'm looking forward to rewatching it because I haven't watched that in a while.
Definitely, yeah. That's actually, I never really thought about it this way, but that's actually like a found footage film, kind of, in a way. That's a footage film, at least part of it. You know what I mean? I never really thought about it, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, given the background of it and the story is based loosely on a real Australian serial killer. It does have that found footage feel to it. The almost not mockumentary, but it's got that realistic film to it. Very similar to Eden Lake,
right?
Which is another one. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got here. Yeah. Oh my God, with Michael Fassbender. Oh my God, yeah. That's
one. I find that so hard to sit through.
And it's got a great ending that you're not expecting too. I mean, I won't say it out loud in case there's people that hasn't seen it, but you're not expecting that shit to happen.
Yeah. I'll keep my mouth shut as well because if anyone in the chat or on the replay has not seen Eden Lake, definitely check that out. That is fantastic filmmaking, fantastic, and the performances are just scary, just scary.
Yeah, it's basically a creepy kids movie, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in the lead male role, you got Michael Fassbender. I'm not sure what her name is, but just knowing Fassbender's in there sells, you know.
Yeah, it's, man, like I'm just thinking about it, and I just there is quite a bit you can say about that movie, but I don't want to give. Yeah, I don't want to say anything more about it because I don't want to spoil it. Don't want to spoil it because
Kind of like them's a creepy kid type show too. It's basically where you got crazy fucking young people in it.
yeah, yeah, and there's quite a few creepy kid movies out there, but I mean this one, oh,
It's rough, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's where a lot of times I prefer um foreign films. Not all the time, but I mean, if I want to see something gritty and rough, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be foreign, unless I go back to the early '70s in American films.
yeah, yeah, and I mean they do have some pretty brutal films back then. Like you look at the originals. Well, Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave, things like that. Yeah, that they are brutal in their own right. I do think the remake of I Spit on Your Graves, well, I've got that, and I watched that quite recently, and I find that hard to sit through.
Yeah, yeah. It's a better film than the original, though. I mean, it's much better made and acted.
Quality wise, it is. Yeah, it definitely is. Last House on the Left, take it or leave it. To be honest,
The original, I'm original all the way.
yeah.
It's one for some reason I seen it at a certain time where it really made an impression on me, and I just really appreciate the layers it has, and I appreciate the brooding acting by David Hess as Krug.
Yeah.
Man, it's just harsh
Yeah,
because you feel like these are real people. They aren't Frankenstein. They aren't Michael Myers. These are real people doing what they do every day. You know what I mean? To them, it's like going to the store and buying some milk. Them doing that to these girls is just that normal to them. That's what's scary about it.
Yeah, and what else was he in recently? Like, was he in something?
Hess?
Yeah.
He was in
What other films has he been in?
House at the Edge of the Park.
Yeah.
Hitchhike. He played a small role in Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Shit. He's been in a few of them, man. Back in the '70s or early '80s, he was in quite a few of those. So and they always had him basically playing Krug. You know, he was always Krug. He was even Krug in that small little part in Swamp Thing.
That's
of course, that
right.
was done by Wes Craven too. You know.
Yeah, I remember watching that on VHS. Swamp Thing. That was a that was a time.
He even carries around the machete. You know what I mean? Just like, you know what I mean? And he's trying to be that brute with Adrian Barbeau, you know, until the Swamp Thing comes out and rips his fucking arm off, and he's still got the machete in his hand.
That's a good point. The Hills Have Eyes is a remake I like more than the original. The original is not my favorite Craven film.
Right.
Look, I'll be honest, like I do enjoy the remake of Hills Have Eyes. I think there are definitely some parts in it I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think that comes down to like, some of the scenes in it are very similar to I Spit on Your Grave. They're just uncomfortable to sit through and watch. But I don't know. I thought the tension in the original Hills Have Eyes was superior to the remake, but the quality of the remake was much higher.
Yeah. Baby fat, you fat.
But yeah, I don't know. I to be honest, I'm one of those people that I forget that Craven did The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, he kind of sandwiched it in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's a good movie, but definitely not my favorite.
No, me either. It has its
Yeah,
place.
haven't watched that one in a while. I probably it's one of those ones I probably should put it on my list, but I've got a pile of movies like just piling up which I need to watch. It's like there's not enough time and too many movies to watch.
It happens, man. In my peak of collecting, man, I have stacks growing around me. And I got so many movies I couldn't afford to get a shelf big enough for it. So it's like I had them stacks around until I could get another shelf, and then it took me days to get it all back together.
Yeah,
So,
and then you got to put them in a specific order. Like it's like, do I do them in alphabetical? Do I do them in series? Do I do them in director? What do you do? I personally, I just go alphabetical. It's just easier.
I do it. Mine are alphabetical. They're I may put them in like director or genre, but even that I play around with. I've been asked what order I put them in. I just say my order.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my Arrow ones separate to my Umbrella ones, but my standard Blu-rays alphabetical order. That's it. Just makes it easy to find.
Right.
Go in, bang, get it. The problem with that is then I get to movies like Tenebrae and I'm like, do I have that one? I'm looking through A, B, C, D, all the way to T, and I'm like, no, oh wait, no, it's over here.
Yeah, that's when you know you got a lot. That's when you know you got a lot is where you have to double check to make sure that you don't have it before you get it.
Yeah.
I've been there for a minute.
Oh yeah. Oh two which I picked up a box set of the Planet of the Apes, like the remake ones, not realizing I already had the first two films. And same with Escape from New York. I picked that one up ages ago, and that's still a great film. But yeah, I bought that on Blu-ray and then ended up buying it again. Just completely forgot that I already had it.
I have DVD, two Blu-ray. I have the old DVD. I have the Screen Factory Steelbook. I have the Screen Factory Blu-ray, and I have the Screen Factory 4K.
Jeez.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So I mean, the only I guess collection like I have of VHS, DVD, Blu-ray is Dawn of the Dead. Pretty much all the Dead series, like Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I've got on original VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray, and I'll never get rid of any of those ever. Like I watched that original Dawn of the Dead on VHS so many times. Like, in fact, like every year on my birthday, like I used to watch Night, Dawn, Day on VHS. That was my go-to for my birthday, no matter what. Didn't matter if it was, I was a lot younger then, so I could stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning and then get up at 6 and go to school and not worried about it. But it was they were my go-to horror films, and I'm surprised that the actual tape hasn't snapped or something. But I had to hunt that one down. That was hard to find.
Yeah, I've got the I got the original trilogy on VHS. Yeah, certain ones I have on VHS to make sure I keep on there. I ended up with a few more when my brother passed away, so I ended up getting a lot more of the ones I never thought that I would ever get that way. But I haven't had a VCR in 15, 20 years, so I haven't played them. I haven't watched a VHS in a while. I'd actually like to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. Like I've got, I did have the original Star Wars trilogy on VHS, but for some reason, Empire went missing. No idea why. Never found it, and it's been gone for like a good 15 years. So I've given up hope on that ever coming back.
Man.
But I've still got the original Star Wars in Return. But they're, I think, the only 5 VHS that I now own. I ended up getting rid of a lot of my VHS tapes many, many years ago. And one of the ones that I got rid of, well, 2 of the ones that I got rid of were In the Mouth of Madness on VHS and Zombie Flesh Eaters.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I wish I had that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything else. I got like 10 copies, but I don't have VHS of it. And I wish I did. They're hard to come by. They're expensive.
Yeah. I mean, this was, I've gotten over the fact that I got rid of it, but it's still like every time I think about it, it's still, why did I do that? Should have kept that one. But I mean, the thing is, you don't go back and rewatch them on VHS because, who has a VHS player anymore? There are a few people, and you can probably pick up a VHS player pretty cheap, but when it comes to quality and, you can get things like this nowadays,
Right, yeah.
But a lot of people like that quality, the VHS quality. It's like listening to a record.
Right. Yeah. Mine are just collector's items. I'd like to have them. Now, if I only had the room to actually put them up where I could actually display them. But I like whenever I get something new or I get so much of something, I have to take something out because, my room is stuffed. It's just full.
Yeah.
So much crap.
Sean.
Oh my God.
Only.
I got gosh, how many do I got? I got about 60 or 70 of them, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're just good to have as collector's items, and and I'm sure once you start collecting physical media, you find reasons to collect. You know what I mean? You just find you're like, well, I'd like to have that too, and I want that too. Whether you're gonna watch it or not, you just want it in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a it's a healthy addiction.
Definitely.
But it is definitely an addiction. Like, you do want to keep collecting, you do want to keep adding. I've had to learn to take a step back and sort of think, do I really need that? Do I really need that, or do I want that? Like, yeah. But hopefully one of these
decided that for me. My lack of finances started making my mind up for me. So I was like, dang.
Yep. And we got Foreign Horror More saying hello in the chat. So g'day, how you doing?
What's up?
But yeah, it's so what have you got planned for this coming month?
Oh man, oh shit, lots of stuff. Here in about 5 minutes, will be the I got a premiere coming on here at 10 o'clock, and it's going to be the discussion between me and Juno on The Exorcist 3, and I'm still editing the discussion with me and Sean Blue Digital with Return of the Living Dead, and me and Night Watch Zone during starting out with and we're doing the original Night of the Living Dead. I plan on doing the Intruder later on tonight. I'm still kind of planning on it. Tomorrow night will be, of course, my Monday night Italian watch. It will be opera, and Tuesday night it will be me and Sean Blue Digital doing 1987 Dolls. Other than that, we'll be editing and planning on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, I've got my month planned for June, so I've got some. I'm actually going to do 2. So I've got my Tubi ones, which I do on Tuesday. So I'm going to do, and I know a lot of people are doing this. I know Gareth over at Video Tasties is doing this as well. Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I'm going to look at some Jean-Claude Van Damme films in June, but I'm also going to look at some John Carpenter films in June.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few that I'm going to look at there. Haven't quite decided on which ones, because he's got such honestly, John Carpenter is probably my all-time favorite filmmaker.
Right. The only ones.
I can't think of a movie of his that I've seen that I don't like to some degree. Like even if you look at Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh, I love Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah. Obviously you've got Halloween. I'm not going to touch on Halloween though, like, because that's a classic.
Nice October coming up too.
That too, but October, man, I've got the whole year planned. Probably the only thing I don't have anything planned for is July. So July, I'm pretty much going to focus on what I mentioned to you. I'm going to be taking up a few new things. I'm going to be trying a few new things in July. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. I've got, like I said, I've got yourself if you're interested.
Yeah,
definitely get you on there for that. Going to be looking at not just YouTubers, but a couple of other people in my local community as well. Get them on there because they've got their own social media things that they do. Get their content out there as well. Some of them probably have more viewers than me, but whatever. It's all about the support in the community. But other than that, then July, August, I'm going to be looking at Awesome August. I'm going to be looking at 80s films. So horror films from the 80s, and I've got one which I've been dying to get into. This was, I think, my first Arrow purchase, and it's one of my favorite 80s films ever. Night of the Comet.
Night of the Comet is awesome. Yeah.
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 But yeah, I'm not going to give too much away. And then, of course, I've got September, October, November, and December. I've sort of got them planned out.
Dream Factory Edition.
Yeah.
I grew up on that, man. That played all summer. I remember by '86 it played all summer, and that thing was on HBO about every day. I watched it practically every day.
Yeah, it's just there's just something about it. Like for me, we didn't have like malls and stuff like weren't a big thing in Australia. So when they go to that mall and they've got that big shopping center, it was not something that I was used to. So I'm like in awe of just that entire scene and that setup.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a lot of fun. And looking at some of the stuff that they said about the movie and about the way it was shot, and different time, man, they had so much fun doing it. So, and I think that translates well into the actual film itself. And it's probably why it's still like one of my all-time favorite classics.
Yeah. Malls were so huge here throughout the 80s, man. Oh my God. Throughout the 80s and early 90s, and then early 90s into the mid 90s is when they started dying. And now they're all just about gone. A lot of them are just about gone now. And it's too bad because my teenage years were, I don't know what I would have done without them all in my teenage years.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, people would hang out there, right?
Yeah, or we plan on meeting there so we could go back to somebody's house and party and get drunk and get laid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you met at the mall first.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably Australia probably had similar things, but not where I grew up. Like we'd usually meet at a fish and chip shop and then go out. Somewhere like that. So Black has just said, would a horror collector be labeled a nerd, geek, or just a horror collector nowadays?
Be a horror nerd.
Yeah. Or I don't know. I think the words like nerd and geek just don't have the same impact as they used to. Like
we're cool nerds now.
Yeah, I mean, they wish they were like us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see myself as a collector, but I'm definitely a pop culture nerd, geek. Yeah. Exactly.
I consider myself a cool nerd. If I'm a nerd, goddamn, I'm a cool nerd.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd that can
100%.
still kick your fucking ass. You know what I mean? I'm a nerd that'll still whoop your ass.
We've just got Mayan dropped into the chat. Hello there, Mayan. Thank you for popping in. Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, you say 20 years ago, but that was, 2003. I think Nerd Was Anyone's Glasses. I think that was like, Revenge of the Nerds era. I still think that was 20 years ago, but I know it wasn't. It's like 40, and I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah. No, man. I got that, and I got the Blu-ray edition. I don't know if you've ever seen them over there, but here during the particular time they was making a lot of the 80s classics like Revenge of the Nerds and Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and all of them had Deadpool on the slipcover. And
Yeah.
I got that edition of Revenge of the Nerds on Blu-ray, and I haven't watched it yet because I plan on showing it to my 16-year-old, and because I know he's going to get a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's they say how a lot of things don't age well. Oh, yeah. Look, you would not see this movie made nowadays. Like they would not get away with it. But it's still funny. Like I could go back and watch that anytime because I still remember watching it growing up, and I still remember scenes like with Booger, absolute classics. But you won't see that even. You look at some films that were made probably in the last 20 years, particularly those raunchy sex comedies, the teen sex comedies. Like, you look at American Pie. You look at Van Wilder. That shit's not getting made now. Like,
yeah, and they were inspired directly from shit like Fast Times at Ridgemont High from the early '80s.
Exactly.
Like that,
yeah, and I mean, they'll never reach those peak periods of, even nowadays. Like, I do find it hard to find a comedy that actually I enjoy because they play it too safe.
Yeah, everybody's too sensitive for a comedy. I mean, you think about it. I mean, look at the stand-up comedians: George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, all those people from back then. They couldn't be here today. They could not be starting today. People are too sensitive to cut that kind of.
So, Jennifer, there's a movie coming out which I think could possibly be somewhere along those lines. It's got Jennifer Lawrence in it. Just trying to think of the title. Let me just look it up. No Hard Feelings. Now that is a interesting film. I watched the trailer for it, and on the brink of losing her home, Maddie finds an intriguing job listing. Helicopter parents looking for someone to make their introverted 19-year-old son out of his shell before college. She has one summer to make him a man or die trying. And basically she's whoring herself out for a car to this 19-year-old. Hey, look, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, but it's very similar to those, like I said, raunchy sex comedies. I think that's probably the only one of recent that I've heard of that have sort of taken a step to that. And if you watch the trailer for it, you'll see what I mean.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Yeah.
But yeah, Bluckers just said, do you think there is enough acting talent to remake movies like The Sandlot, Kids, or The Goonies? Or are times so different that these are things they should 100% stay away from?
Stay away from. That's my
opinion. 100%. Touch The Goonies and I will burn that motherfucker down. You can't. It's personally, I think kids nowadays, it's a different time. It's a different era. Like when we grew up with things like The Goonies, we would get on our bikes, we would go for a ride, we would go exploring. We could do that. We didn't have the same, so it was all you can say, it's a completely different era. That's it. They wouldn't be able to do that now. However, I don't know. I think if they're going to remake a film, whilst I don't think they should remake ones that were done well to begin with, I think if they are going to remake something like The Goonies or The Sandlot Kids, don't bring it to now. You know, the era that those films are in are set for that era.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
there are
Try to improve on something that sucked. Don't try to improve on something you're not going to be able to improve on.
Yeah.
There's only one way to go with those, and that's down, man. I mean, really.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't. I mean, I don't think they could remake The Goonies and improve on it in any way, shape, or form. You look at even some of the horror films like The Changeling.
Right.
My partner, she introduced me to that film. You could not make that film now and have the same effect, because if you set that film now, it wouldn't have the same impact as to an old cast iron bathtub. You wouldn't have someone in a nice new house, it just wouldn't have the same effect. But Blocker brings up a good point. People are definitely too sensitive nowadays. You got people trying to cancel Robert Downey for blackface in Tropic Thunder and Ben Stiller for portraying a special needs person. Well, yeah, fuck him. It was a movie. I honestly think it's a movie. Just leave it at that. I mean, it's not like they went out there to intentionally offend people.
Right.
It was done for the movie.
Johnny Jr. was hilarious in that, man.
Yeah.
Nothing personal, for my sake.
And it was a piss take on his profession. It wasn't. It wasn't a stab at anyone. It was making fun of actors in general.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. You're not looking at people just aren't looking at shit from the right angle anymore. They're looking at it as they're just looking to be offended now. People are. That's what sucks about it, man. It's like you got to walk on eggshells and shit. It's like that sucks. I find that hard because I have a big mouth, so for me to walk on eggshells is damn near impossible.
Yeah, look, I'm trying not to swear and all that, but dude, it's sometimes you just have to say it. You have to. It's look, this here, they're reportedly in talks with Tom Holland to portray Marty McFly and Robert Downey Jr. to portray Doc Brown. Look, they had great chemistry in the Spider-Man films, Captain America: Civil War and whatnot. They did, but just because two actors have good chemistry in a certain film doesn't mean they're suited to be playing two other characters in a different film.
Right.
It's true. Yeah. And I mean, that's another one. Back to the Future. Why remake that?
Yeah. They aren't really going to do that, are they?
Well, I hope not, but who knows? Who knows?
It seemed like somebody said something about somebody was talking about that, and I was like, what?
They need to just leave well enough alone.
They don't know how, man, because they just don't have the same creativity. You know what I mean? They just don't have the same creativity. So instead, they just want to mess with and try to make somebody else's film their own,
Yeah, but I think it's time for me to wrap this up because you've got stuff on your plate coming up, and I've actually got to go and do some shopping.
All right, man.
Do some shopping. Hey, thank you for being here.
Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed your month of being YouTube Entertainer of the Month. Sam, you got to pass it on, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's heavy as a head that wears a crown, but it is what it is, and I think I'm glad that people got involved with it, and once again, thanks to Nanette for starting this, and thanks to you for nominating me to begin with, and thank you for everyone that voted for me, but also people that continue to vote for everyone this month to bring it on to someone else and give them the chance to say their piece and do what they need to do.
And congratulations today. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll be messaging him. I'll pop his link down below, of course, so anyone who's watching it will be able to check out his channel. But yeah, that's it. Got anything else you want to chuck in before we wrap it up?
No, I got about to do it, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to end the broadcast now, and everyone have a great day. Bye.
Not much love. Take it easy, man.
See ya.